7th, it is 5:30 p.m. in Merritt, British Columbia, and we are pleased to be able to offer another public information session in support of the City of Merritt and the recovery that is happening in lieu of the floods that we all know impacted this great city back in November 2021. We are joined by Mayor and members of Council, members of the recovery team, as well as representatives from the BC government, disaster financial assistance, and with our friends from the Canadian Red Cross. So there's a bunch of information for you today. We have received several questions from members of the public that we will also have addressed. And let's begin today by welcoming Mayor Linda Brown for an opening and land acknowledgement.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to this information session. Thank you all for joining us. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are meeting on the traditional territories of the Nlaka'pamux and Syilx people. And I also want to say how proud I am of the accomplishments of the city during this flood disaster so far. I know Council also expresses those same sentiments. We are all aware we still have a long way to go. We have not forgotten those individuals who are still out of their homes or still who are trying to clean up or fix their homes. These are our immediate priorities. This has been a challenging year. Operationally, it will continue to be challenging for both staff and council. The city's priority is still to put our energies into housing and flood resiliency. But at the same time, we have the reality to ensure our roads are capable of being driven on, our garbage continues to be picked up, along with numerous other services that we have to continue to operate. We continue to lobby both our federal and provincial governments to ensure additional funding is allocated to our city. On Monday, April the 11th, I meet in person with the Joint Federal Provincial Committee on Flood Recovery. That's the committee that holds the $5 billion allocated to BC floods. And we continue to connect with Minister Farnworth and Honourable Bill Blair on numerous flood-related issues, mainly respecting the aspect of funding. Having said that, I'm going to pass this meeting back to Ben Morgan, our MC for the evening. Ben.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder, it's wonderful to see so many people from the City of Merritt, from other government agencies that are joined us. And to me, I'm just looking here and it says currently in this meeting 17, which is just another example to me of the commitment by the City of Merritt to have the right people in the right place to do the right job. And that is working hard to return Merritt to us back to normal, and more importantly, to bring everybody home that needs to be home. So it's wonderful to see all of these people that are here and engaged in tonight's conversation. So thank you to everybody, Mayor, Council, BC government, Red Cross, for joining us tonight. I want to start by inviting Mr. Greg Solecki. Greg Solecki is Director of Recovery Operations to provide us with an update on what's been happening, where we're at, Greg, and what's coming next.
Thanks, Ben. And I'd like to thank Mayor Brown and Council as well for all the support that we've seen, and also the city staff, how they've been helping out the recovery operations team, not to mention a lot of the partners we're working with that you already mentioned, Ben. So thanks everybody for that. And especially thank you to the community and residents, citizens that are sending in questions, that are providing feedback, giving us their comments, because that's how we're going to progress through this. That's how we're going to make things better, or as best as we possibly can. So a big thank you and shout out to everybody out there that's providing that for us. You'll hear updates from a couple of our recovery team members as well, but just to generalize a little bit, you've probably seen a lot of the operations that are ongoing throughout the city now, a lot of progress. It took a lot of planning, a lot of research, engineering that went into when we could start, where we could start, and what we could do. A lot going on in the rivers there that Darcey will speak to, some of the roadways, with all the work that's going on, yeah, there are some dust issues as well. Maybe a bit more dust than you've seen in the past, but as normal precautions you may have to take if you have some previous breathing conditions, stay away from dust. It's just the normal thing that you would do. If you do actually have something that would be impacting you, get to the health region, give them the information, make that contact if need be. There's nothing wrong with the dust at all. It's just a little bit more than you'd see in normal years because of all the cleaning that's going on, all the soil that's being moved, and a great amount of soil is being moved, hundreds of tons per day. You've seen a lot of the trucks in the neighborhood moving soil from the curb to another soil pile and then being moved out throughout different areas and partners that are taking that soil from us. So again, the soil is not an issue, just a lot of it is being moved around right now. Parks are one of our priorities as well. The number one priority is getting Merrittonians back home. So just with that, the people that are able to work on their homes, remember that any permits that you need, there's no cost to that right now. There's get the permits so that in the future, when you may be moving, any potential safety reasons, permitting is important. And that's one of the big areas that we really want residents to understand is there's no cost right now. You can get your permit for free. So any work that you're doing is should be backed up with the permits there. While we're on that subject, we'll be looking at reducing the evacuation zones in the next couple of weeks here. So folks that are able to get back into their homes definitely should be able to and can to get in there to do that work. And you'll be hearing more about homes coming off those lists, ones that are not safety concerns at all, whether that's the home itself or some of the access routes. There will still be areas of the city that will be deemed a zone because of safety reasons, but for the most part, there will be a lot of homes that will be able to come off of that list. Security will be maintained throughout this time, and while we still have some evacuations going on, so no need to be concerned about that. A lot of great feedback from the security in the neighborhoods through the nighttime, during the daytime as well, engaging with a lot of our residents, as well as providing information to the RCMP when need be. Remember as well, like whether you're on evacuation notice or not, there still are many, many resources available to you. So the support center is your place to go. If you still are in need of some sort of support, stay in touch with your caseworker, connect with the Red Cross. They will be providing support on a case-by-case basis like they always have. So it has nothing to do with the evacuation or the current status of your home. If you need support, you will be working with your case manager, and we'll hear from the Red Cross later on this evening as well, just to support that. The Unmet Needs Committee, and Linda will be speaking about that potentially, and our support center. And you've seen a lot of the different agencies and non-government organizations, volunteer organizations that are around the neighborhood helping out all of our neighbors. And it's just been wonderful to see them come back to town. Shout out to Linda for organizing all that and having the connections and the right people to knock on doors to engage with as many Merrittonians as we possibly can. So she'll probably talk about that a little bit as well. And just a final thank you to even our regional friends. We continue to connect with the First Nations on different aspects. We are still looking at potential transitional affordable housing options that are out there. Still looking for funding from any source that we can actually find and work with. And once we get something on the way, then we want to share that information with our partners. Also, the work that we're doing in the rivers, the work that we're doing around the city, we're sharing as much as we possibly can with First Nations groups and any other municipalities that are looking for that information. So one other thing, and don't want to steal anything from Linda, but we are looking at having a Help Your Neighbor Day, and Linda will provide details with that, I'm sure. And it's something that we just want to have some awareness out there with all the people that are still in need and have community volunteer groups show up in the coming weeks to help out, just like a lot of these non-government organizations are, and the other volunteer organizations that are in town, like Samaritan's Purse, ADRA, on, and Linda can probably give you the all the names of the different groups that are out there. So thanks for all of that. I know we'll take some questions later on. Appreciate everybody showing up to present again, and also appreciate the feedback from the community. So back to you, Ben.
Thanks, Greg. So really important, I think you touched on the support center, such an invaluable resource. So while you were talking, I just added right here, just as a reminder, you can find all of the flood information related to Merritt at home.merritt.ca, and you can always email returnhome@merritt.ca. Although I just did that really quickly, so that should be an @ sign there. returnhome@merritt.ca is an email to connect with folks at the support center. And you can visit home.merritt.ca for all of the flood information that you need. So just such an important and valuable resource. I'm going to add the @ sign right there as we go to the next presenter, which is Darcey Hormann, to talk about operations as it relates to flood recovery here in Merritt.
Thanks, Ben. Just happy to present essentially some of the progress that we've made since we last spoke. What I'll do is I'll talk about some of the projects that have concluded, some that are currently wrapping up, and then finally some of the efforts and our focus going forward for the next sort of 2 to 3 months going into the future. So one of the things you would have noticed is that the collapsed span of the Middleborough's Bridge has successfully been removed. That was done at the beginning of last month or mid last month. So that was a successful effort. Secondly, the bank stabilization. This is in the vicinity of the Middlesborough Bridge. The Toco, really adjacent to the Toco lands and Avoit Street on the south side of the river. That works have been ongoing for the past 2 weeks. It included about 5,000 cubic meters of rock placement, which is roughly equivalent to 500 tandem loads or dump truck loads of rock. That work has gone according to schedule. Currently planning to be done in the water, so working in the water. They expect to be done tomorrow, and the last thing they'll be placing little boulder clusters, which will provide rest stops for salmon and fish as they migrate upstream. So that's expected to wrap up tomorrow. In the water, additionally, they'll be continuing to build up the berm, so this is out of the water, and that work will be done on the 15th of this month. With that contractor, PME, planning to demob or leave site between the 15th and 17th of April. So that will conclude that specific bank stabilization project. The other item that was ongoing at the same time and concurrently for the last about week and a half has been the spring dike repairs. So there were 4 different locations along the Coldstream River over the last week and a half that it's been, I don't recall the volume exactly. I think it was about 1,000 cubic meters of rock. So again, 100 trucks of rock were brought in there to essentially shore and reinforce the dikes, some of which had been scoured over the course of the various high water events in November. So that work actually wrapped up today as well, and that was done by local contractors. And that work was completed essentially today, and they've demobbed as well. So that was repairing the priority spring dike repair locations. Finally, in other ongoing work at the bridge, so this is for assessing the current or what remains of the Middlesborough Bridge. We've had a geotechnical drilling program to investigate the soil conditions on site. It's been essentially a drill rig that's been there for the past couple of days. They would be wrapping up, if they haven't already, they'll be wrapping up today or tomorrow. They've been drilling to a depth of 30 meters, again, to assess the ground condition, and that all is going to inform our assessment of our options in terms of what we can do to replace that span and that bridge going forward. So that assessment is currently ongoing. In terms of other works that are progressing, either in various stages of design and or out for tender, include the works at the RI Basin. So that's the water infiltration basins in the vicinity of Pine Street or just behind Pine Street. So these works currently undergoing detailed design and will be going out to tender towards the later this spring. Additionally, road and trail scoping is occurring now as well. I will also add, I think there were some questions about Canford Avenue. So the detailed design is complete on that, and we are currently awaiting DFA funding. Finally, some other projects that are continuing are some underground utilities cleanouts, as well as the continued assessment of the permanent river channel solution or drainage area and the diking works that will be proposed down the road. So that assessment still is ongoing. We've just completed or are working on completing the hydraulic model. We're expecting to have it around the 15th to 20th of this month. And once that modeling is done, we'll be able to work different scenarios and options, which will then inform our application in June and July for additional funding to fund that portion of the works. So that, in essence, or in conclusion, is the current works that some of which have currently wrapped up, some which will be concluding here shortly, particularly the bank stabilization and the spring dike repairs, as well as some of the other projects that we'll be working on in the coming months. So thank you, Ben. I'll hand it back over to you.
That's great, Darcey. Thanks so much. A lot of work, and you're talking about like bridges and big pieces, which is all a part of the greater Merritt community, which is all really important as part of the infrastructure bit. So don't go away, because there's a couple questions for you coming up. That's a really important piece. However, arguably the most important piece is the people of Merritt, the people that have been impacted by the flood, the people that are still needing help. And so stick around, but it's important that we connect with Linda Brick, who is running the Merritt Support Center, which has a critical piece in connecting Merrittonians who need help, who need resources with other agencies. So Linda, again, I got this fixed here. So this is, if you need to touch base with Linda, home.merritt.ca is the website, or you can email the support center at returnhome@merritt.ca. An incredible resource for you, for the people of Merritt who have been impacted by the flood. So Linda, what's happening support center wise, and where's your focus, and how can people connect with you?
Thank you, Ben. I have to start off by saying that there are some amazing people here in Merritt. I've had an opportunity to meet many people. We've met almost 700 individuals that the community navigators and the case managers they're in contact with. So that's a huge number of people here in Merritt, but we've got some excellent staff from Merritt that are working with us from out in the community. And there are some truly amazing people out in the city. This place is a great place to live. So that being said, the support center continues to provide wraparound assistance to residents who were impacted by the flood. And I have several updates for us this evening, as well as some of the pieces that we've been working on in the background. As Greg alluded to, we've got the Unmet Needs Committee. It's been formed, and the purpose of the Unmet Needs Committee is to identify the gaps in service. So we have service providers from out in the community. Canate is on there, Schwackham is on there. There is a variety of almost, I would say about 20 to 25 organizations that are involved with this, and they are helping to identify any gaps that are missing or anything that needs to be done that we can change and to provide supports to residents. We have case managers and community navigators. So they have gone around and knocked on doors, talked to individuals. So we've made a map of all the people that we did know that we had contact with. And that also showed us all the people that we hadn't connected with yet. So we had community navigators that went out and knocked on all of the doors, and we have connected with almost everyone. I think we're down to a list of about 20 people or 20 homes that we haven't connected with yet. So that is an amazing amount of work on their behalf. So thank you so much for all of their hard work. I have some updates, and I'm just going to share my screen here. Everybody can see that. We are going to be closed over the weekend, the Easter weekend that's coming up. So the support center is going to be closed on April 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. Residents can still continue to access services from the Red Cross and other supports by telephone during that weekend. And all of our telephone numbers are listed on the front door at the support center, but we'll also post them on the website to make sure that people, well, they can't see us in person, they can still reach out by telephone on the Easter weekend. On Saturday, April 23rd, as Greg mentioned, we have a volunteer event that's happening, and we're calling it Parties of 5. The idea behind this is to have residents from all over Merritt, whether you are an organization, a volunteer group, the quilting club, if you're a scout group, or any kind of organization or any kind of family that just wants to give back to the community and become involved, grab 5 of your friends, grab any shovels, wheelbarrows that you have, meet at Rotary Park at 9 o'clock to register, and we'll assign you a location to work, because there's still many people that need mud to be removed from their yards. And so we want to be able to really provide that support to the residents that need the help. And then between 9 and 2, the volunteer groups, they're going to be going out to remove the mud from the yards. Once we are finished at the end of the day, the Rotary is putting on a barbecue for all of the volunteers back at Rotary Park. And this will be a community event, so this is for the flood victims as well as the volunteers to come and enjoy the barbecue that the Rotary is putting on. So that is on Saturday, April 23rd. Meet at Rotary Park at 9 o'clock in the morning to register for that and bring your tools, and it should be a very good day of lots of good community building. Another event that we're quite happy to announce is that the Salvation Army has provided funding for a therapeutic art session. This is an opportunity for those who need support in coping skills and resiliency to come and learn what visual journaling is and how to do it, because it'll help you identify your stressors, break through barriers, and you can help in regaining your strength and coping skills through art. So we do ask for pre-registration for this one. Please email us at returnhome@merritt.ca, or you can phone us at 1-877-655-0341. This is being held on Sunday, May 29th. It's going to be at the Merritt Support Center, which is at 1700 Garcia Street. We're able to host 2 sessions, so from either 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock, or a second session from 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock. And we can accommodate up to 12 people per session. There's a lovely therapeutic recreational therapist that's in town. Her name is Tracy Wolf, and she's going to be putting this on for us. So we're very grateful to have her as part of this team. And finally, I want to extend thank yous out to the Canadian Red Cross, the Christian Aid Ministries, who have been out cleaning up people's yards. They've been doing an amazing job. Samaritan's Purse have now got case managers we've got 2 case managers from the Samaritan's Purse that have been incorporated into the Merritt Support Center. So residents will start hearing from them as well. They are going to be here long term. So they'll be here for the next 2 years to provide wraparound supports to residents as they're traveling through this journey. So they'll be there with them. The Adventist Disaster Relief Agency has been providing support to some individuals as well with rebuilding homes and helping there and assisting them. The E-Free Church has got groups from Kamloops that have been coming down on the weekends to help them clear up people's yards as well with rakes and shovels and wheelbarrows. Canadian Tire has donated materials, tools for the Saturday, April 23rd, clean out. So we have tools that are donated from Canadian Tire, so thank you to them. Home Depot has donated over 200 buckets, cleanup buckets. And Team Rubicon is coming online next week to help with the cleanup of the interior of people's homes. So those are just some of the many organizations that are working to help clean up and restore Merritt back to where it was before. And those are the updates from the Merritt Support Center. And I'm going to turn it back over to you, Ben. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Lots of activity happening there. And I also want to just point out that the support center that you've created is a welcoming place. It's not like you're going to City Hall. It's not like you're going to a business. It's warm, inviting, and the team that you've put there cares, and they are there for the people. May not have all the answers, may not be able to do everything that we want to do, but everybody that you have assembled there that is in place to support people of Merritt really are there because they care. And so just a reminder, go to the support center to connect. You may not know what is available to you, and it's the role of the folks in the support center to help you navigate the resources that are available to you. Also on the webpage, home.merritt.ca, that's a Merritt website dedicated to recovery. There's also a button there, volunteer your help. So if you're able, willing, eager to help beyond these volunteer opportunities that Linda just talked about, click on that button and register and just say, hey, I'm willing to help out. Because one thing we know about Merritt is how resilient the community is, how the community comes together and supports each other. So that's just another way you can connect and support your community. Stick around, Linda, because we got a couple questions for you, I believe. But in the meantime, our friend Nadine Madson is here from the government of BC to talk a little bit about some of the disaster financial assistance that might be available. So if I can ask Nadine to shed some light on something that we may or may not know already, and what could be available to us in the way of support.
Thanks, Ben. Hi, I'm Nadine Madson. I'm from Disaster Financial Assistance. We are a provincial program that provides funding to individuals as well as First Nations and local authorities who have been impacted by natural disaster events. So our funding program is legislated by the Emergency Program Act and the Compensation and DFA regulations. We cover uninsurable property damage that occurred as a result of a DFA eligible event, which includes the flooding event that occurred in Merritt last November. Our program is designed to help restore the basic necessities of life at 80% of those eligible costs minus $1,000 up to a maximum of $300,000. So as I mentioned, and a key difference between our program and insurance is that our program covers the basic necessities. So this means that not everything that is lost in the flood event, unfortunately, will be eligible for funding, but only items and damages that are essential to restore livelihood. For this flooding event, we can provide funding to 4 different categories of applicants: homeowners, residential tenants, small businesses, and charities. For this event, farm owners are being addressed under the Ministry of Agriculture's 2021 Flood Recovery Program for food security. So anybody who's the owner of a farm, we recommend turning to that program, but we will help redirect you if an application is sent to us. Once we have your application form, the DFA office will review your file for completeness and for eligibility under our program regulations. As a publicly funded program, it's really important to do our due diligence to ensure that every applicant that receives funding is eligible under our regulations. So at this stage, we will reach out to you and request documentation. We will collect more information in order to determine that. And each file is a little bit different. So there may be different documentation requested based on your application category or your specific situation. And also timelines in this stage can vary. I do recommend that everybody who has applied for our program go onto our website. You can just search DFA BC and you will pop up with our website there. We have our private sector DFA guidelines as well as our DFA regulations. And that's where you can get complete information on all of our eligibility criteria for each applicant category. So as mentioned, we will determine whether or not you are eligible under your application category. And then once we determine eligibility, we will assign your file to our DFA field evaluator. And they're the ones who will actually assess your damages for eligibility, and they will draft a report and determine an assessed value for eligible damages. So when we have assigned your file to an evaluator, they will contact you to set up a site visit to view the damage or to determine another method of assessment. Once the evaluator completes their report, it's sent back to our office and we adjudicate the report. And then if applicable, we will send payment to your mailing address in the form of a check, and correspondence is sent via email, or you can request to have it sent via mail as well if you prefer it that way. Once we have sent correspondence to you, letting you know about your eligibility or sending you a payment amount, if you aren't satisfied with the decision, if you think that even the amount, if you think that you should have been given a bigger amount, you're welcome to appeal that decision. So you can send a written notice to our office via email, mail, or fax within 60 days of receiving notice from us regarding your eligibility or payment amount, just requesting that you would like to appeal the decision. And along with that, you're welcome to submit any additional information or documentation or anything that you think might be helpful for us to review alongside your file. Once we get that request for an appeal, a thorough file review is conducted, and the original decision will be overturned or upheld, and you will be provided correspondence about that appeal decision and, if applicable, what the next steps are. So that's the basic kind of overview of our process and our appeal process. And maybe I'll just finish off by saying that my office is really committed to maximizing the amount of funding and the amount of assistance possible for residents and for small businesses and charities and everyone in the province under our regulations. So we have onboarded a lot of new staff to try and process applications as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. And we do understand the great need in the province. So yeah, maybe I'll just end off there.
You're just going to end there. Nadine, that was a lot. Thank you for that. So number one, I think it's just important to recognize that the government of BC is there and is able to provide some level of support. And that will be unique to everybody's situation. And I think what's the most important or the biggest takeaway from that, and with our talking with Linda Brick previously, is go to the support center because we can help you navigate all of that process, right? So there's a lot to it. You as a citizen of Merritt do not have to figure it all out on your own. There is support available to you at the support center to help you navigate all of that information and help you figure out what is the best fit for you. But do know that the BC government is there to support as best they can. And so go to the support center and figure it out. Thank you for being there, Nadine.
I just wanted to mention just one other thing quickly, is that I just wanted to note that our application deadline has passed. So it was on March 3rd. So just letting everybody know that if you have not reached out to our office yet, unfortunately, the deadline has passed. But if you have not gotten an application form in, but there is evidence of you reaching out to us before the deadline, we can look at those situations to see if we would be able to accept them. But I just wanted to mention that.
Great clarity. And then I'll just underpin that again with go to the support center and have a good conversation with folks that can help you navigate that and make that connection to DFA through the province. Thank you, Nadine, for that clarity. Another amazing partner of the City of Merritt is the Canadian Red Cross. And we're more than thrilled. Rachel, you keep making time to be here. You keep making time to connect with people of Merritt. So thanks for being here again. And I'll throw it to you. And I just want to check, do you need us to run a couple slides for you?
Yeah, I don't want to be the only keener that has slides, but thankfully Linda had some slides, so I'm going to ask you to put them up. Thank you. Yeah, and thanks, Ben. Just for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Rachel Oliver. I'm the Senior Manager of Recovery with the Canadian Red Cross, and I've been working with Merritt since November, so back when everything started. And I just wanted to thank you to the city for continuing to have us back. We're always happy to provide an overview of the Red Cross's work and making sure that people who have been impacted are connected into available supports. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to highlight some of our work to date. So the Red Cross has been in community since the onset of the event back in November. Around the start of February, we did transition to what we call personalized recovery supports. If you're not familiar with that term, I am going to talk more about what that means in the next slide, so don't worry. But since the start of February, we have connected into a lot of different households, and we are now currently supporting over 950 households across the province with those supports. The case management team is also located in person. They've been there since February 15th, which has been really great. People have been able to come in. They've had appointments with their case managers. They can drop off documentation, ask questions. And if you haven't had the chance to come in and see your case managers, they are located in the Merritt Support Center. They're there from Monday to Saturday from 9 to 4. And as Linda mentioned, I just wanted to reiterate, we are not available in person over the long weekend that's coming up, but you can always call, and I'll make sure to post that number later on in the presentation. And then also, in addition to being in person, we also do offer the ability for individuals to connect with us via phone or virtually, or a combination of all three. We know that everyone's really busy and you have so much going on within your recovery and trying to deal with everything. So we really do try to offer all of those different options for you to connect in with us based off of your preference and abilities. And finally, our Red Cross team does continue to work with the Merritt recovery team. And really the work that we're doing there is trying to understand what those community needs are on an ongoing basis, and really understand how we can continue to support in the long term. Next slide, please. So about those personalized recovery supports that I was mentioning, so whether you have connected to the Red Cross or you haven't had the chance to connect in with us yet, I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of what those supports that are available to them may be. So the Red Cross supports include, as Ben and Linda and everyone was kind of speaking about, we do have the ability to assist with navigating, similar to lots of other organizations. We know that lots of people have really heavily been impacted, and navigating the recovery process is really, really challenging. So our team can absolutely help support that, making sure that you are able to make informed decisions, coming up with a recovery plan, and helping to identify what those next steps are for you within recovery. Our teams can also help support with some of those complex forms or processes that might include sorting papers, getting a permit, as Greg was mentioning. And although it's a little bit more challenging in a virtual environment to do that, if you have the ability to come visit us in person, we can absolutely help with that a little bit easier. We also have a fairly extensive referral system. So of course we work in person in the support center and are able to do in-person referrals to lots of the other amazing supports that are available there, and other different community networks. We know that everyone's going through a lot, so our teams can also offer just emotional support, or if you're looking for some more professional support, we can absolutely help provide assistance to access mental health services. Of course, most people would be familiar with our ongoing support towards temporary accommodation and basic needs for those individuals who cannot return home. And finally, we have assistance towards repair and reconstruction of primary residences. And so under that bucket, that could include cleanup of your home or your property, repair, or rebuilding of your home, moving to a new location, that's a need, and finally, household mold remediation. Personalized recovery supports are available to anyone who has been impacted by the flooding event. So I just wanted to make sure that was very clear. Of course, supports are assessed on a case-by-case basis, and I really do encourage that anyone who has been impacted, please reach out to your case manager. Even if you think that the Red Cross may not be able to support you, we will do our best to come up with solutions in collaboration with you, and we do have referrals into lots of other supports. And finally, I just wanted to mention as well, for those of you who are currently staying outside of Merritt in commercial lodging and wish to relocate back closer to the community, when that option becomes available, please do speak with your case manager. Let them know that this is your preference and what that ideal timeline is for you to move. And that will make sure that it's part of that ongoing discussion with your case manager and part of the planning efforts. And we'll absolutely work to facilitate this request when that option becomes available. Next slide, please. So finally, I just wanted to talk about connecting with recovery supports. Again, recovery will look very, very different for everyone, which is why we do classify our supports as personalized. Your case manager is there to work with you and help you navigate recovery in a way that makes sense to you at your own pace and help you make your own informed decisions about your own recovery. We recognize that your needs will continue to evolve as you move through the process. So if you're already connected in with the case manager, please do keep in contact with them about what your ongoing needs are. If those shift or change at some point in time, please also let them know. We may have additional supports that we can provide you. And if you're not yet connected to our supports, please know at this point in time, there's no deadline to access them. So if your circumstances change at any point in time, please do not hesitate to reach out. We have sorry, I'm just going to keep talking for one more minute. We have 3 ways to contact in with us, or connect with us, sorry. As I mentioned, we have our in-person supports at the Merritt Support Center, but they're available from Monday to Saturday, 9 to 4, as I mentioned. We also have our 1-800 number. You can contact our call center between 8:30 and 4:30 from Monday to Friday. And then we also have our BC flood recovery at redcross.ca. I know a lot of people are trying to connect with case managers. If you are trying to connect with your case manager, please do email our BC flood recovery at redcross.ca email. That's the best way to reach them, as our case management team monitors that email. And in your email, if you could please ensure that you include your full name or your registration number, just so we can identify who you are. And if you know your case manager's name, that's also really helpful to include. And if you don't have access to email, but you still want to contact your case manager, please don't hesitate to call and just leave a message with our call center, and the case manager will reach out to you as soon as they can. And just in terms of the timeline of getting back to you, our case managers do have a lot on their plates, so please just do allow 24 to 48 hours for any non-urgent requests. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Rachel. And I think it's important just to acknowledge what incredible work the Canadian Red Cross has done to support residents of Merritt who have been impacted by the flood. And certainly the Red Cross continues to do great work, not just in Canada, but around the world. And I know Red Cross is being pulled in a lot of different directions these days. So very appreciative that the Red Cross has stuck with us, that you've continued to be here despite needing to be in other places. So thanks very much, and thank you for that you keep joining us to talk about. It's just great to see you're here, and so we're very grateful for that. Okay, so that is our presentations. That leaves us with about 15 minutes. So I'd just like to address a couple questions that we received from members of the community. And I think, Linda Brick, I think this one might be best for you. And the question is, how the heck do I get all this flood debris picked up? Like, here it is. Who's coming to get it, and how do I get it?
Thank you, Ben. Yes, that is a good question, and one that we have been working very, very hard with the team of contractors. And we've got Rick Wagner, who has been organizing the contractors. From now until April 30th, we've got our residents, they can collect all of the mud from their yards and leave it at the curbside. They can also take all of the household demolition waste, anything that's wound up in their yard that they didn't intend to have in there, they can leave that at the curb as well. What we do ask is that you have one pile for the clean dirt and a second separate pile for any debris, construction waste. If you have any asbestos materials, they need to be bagged and then they can be put out for proper disposal. If there is any drywall, it can be stacked or bagged. Any insulation can be put into bags. We do have bags available here at the support center as well for residents. The curbside pickup is free until April 30th, or you can take your debris to the transfer station or the landfill as well, and the tipping fees are waived for small amounts. We can't do full houses, but for construction material and debris and management or getting rid of those, the fees are waived until April 30th as well. So please just leave them out at the curb. Trucks will be around to pick up the items. I hope that explains that question. So leave it at the curb and we will come around and we will pick it up.
I don't know about anybody else, but I just picked in on free till the end of the month.
That's correct.
Disposal of flood debris is free, and take it there. I see our CAO Sean Smith has his hand up. Mr. Smith.
Thanks, Ben. I just wanted to add for residents as well, we are working to extend that April 30th date, but please do take it seriously for right now. We are advocating, we're working as hard as we can to see what we can do. We know that this is a time crunch for you, but to the best of your ability, work to get some of that soil and that debris out as soon as possible, and know that we're working behind the scenes to try getting that date extended.
You said something there really important, Mr. Smith, and I think that there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes. There are processes, there are lots of things to consider whenever we engage in any type of recovery work or even just typical city planning. A lot of work and a lot of thought and a lot of behind the scenes. So although today it's April 30th for free disposal, your team, your city is working hard to do the best we can for you. So thanks for that, Mr. Smith. I think this one probably for Mr. Solecki. A question here from a resident who says, I seem to have a sinking foundation. However, can't seem to get any solid answers from the restoration company that's been doing some work at their property. And so is it possible to have an engineer from the city do an assessment? So, they've they've done what they're supposed to do and they're working with the restoration company, but they're not getting the answers that they need. So can they tap on the shoulder of the city to get some additional help?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. It's terrible to hear, but it's also an unfortunate answer in that the city doesn't provide that service. So the best thing the resident can do is to go back to that company, try and get the answers they're looking for. If it's not the contractor, then maybe the parent company, someone that can provide some sort of satisfaction, or even look at getting a second opinion on what's occurring at their home and with their foundation.
Honest answer, Greg. That's all any of us want. That's all we need is an honest answer. So work as best you can with the company that you've got hired, and when in doubt, I'll just throw it out there, check in with the support center, right? Like, is this possible? And if the answer is no, the answer is no. If the answer is maybe, then it's a maybe. So I appreciate the honesty there. Like, this is the best we can do at this time. I think, Darcey, you're our infrastructure guy, and the team behind you, of course. But why is there no mitigation of diking upstream past the trailer park around the mill site? I'm assuming you're familiar with the mill site and the trailer park there. Why is there no mitigation or diking upstream past the trailer park along the mill site?
Yeah, certainly. So that area during the flood event, and now as we move into freshet, will certainly be monitored. In terms of the funding model, emergency EMBC and public funds are not used to protect private lands. That being said, if there is a threat to the city through high water coming through those lands, then we would have the ability to install a temporary dike that could be installed to prevent any damage then to public infrastructure. But that is essentially what that is the reason why, is that public funds aren't used to protect private property, but we will continue to monitor that location as we come into freshet. It's not expected that there will be any concerns there this spring. And that being said, if there was something that were to materialize, we would have the ability to install temporary diking to protect the infrastructure, the city infrastructure, and community behind it.
Great. Don't go anywhere, because I'll just throw this one at you too.
Sure.
So thanks for that answer. Another citizen is wondering if the city has any reports yet on how far the dikes have to come back at the Trees Mobile Park area and at other mobile home parks that are by the Coldwater River. So any reports yet on how far the dikes have to come back at the Trees Mobile Home Park area and at other mobile home parks that are by the Coldwater River?
Yeah, fair. So we don't have that information. We're not there yet in terms of our assessment. So currently, there's a couple different steps that need to be done before we get to that stage. The first of which is continuing or completing the development of the hydraulic model. So this is looking at all of the information from the flood in November, taking a look at climate change, precipitation or expected precipitation, and building essentially a model that would govern what future events might look like. Once that's done, then there will be some options analysis and development, which will then allow the engineers completing the report to determine which would be the best option. That'll be balanced by a combination of risk, economic benefit, as well as cost, and providing kind of the full, wholesome, long-term solution or long duration solution. So those are the components that it'll be evaluated upon, and those are the steps that still remain before we would have additional information about any kind of setbacks at the trailer parks, or quite frankly, for anywhere in the city.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Darcey, and thank you for the work you and your team are doing. You're with Colliers, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, so Colliers doing a great deal of work to support the recovery in the city of Merritt. So thanks very much. Mr. Smith.
You guys are going to hate me with all this backseat commenting over here. I wanted to add as well, because I know that residents really do want timelines. Our objective here is to be prepared for a Disaster Mitigation Adaptation Fund application, which is due for July. So we anticipate that this report that would largely answer those questions is going to be complete at some point in June. So again, I know that the answer that everybody wants to hear is that this was done yesterday or 3 months ago, so that you could feel really confident in your decisions. Know that we're doing everything we can to advance these as quickly as possible, and we've got the right people doing the work. But we are still going to be waiting some time until we have that fulsome modeling and plan put together.
Again, Mr. Smith, you're highlighting the work that happens behind the scenes, processes and requirements and reports and asks and considerations and all of that stuff. A lot of work happening behind the scenes that hopefully we soon see tangible results from, more than we've already seen, right? Great work. Mr. Solecki, when you first started off tonight, you talked a little bit about the dust levels in Merritt. Can you just touch on that a little bit more? Because I know we've heard people are concerned about the level of dust that they're seeing in their community now. It's something new. It's concerning to some folks. So can you just re-emphasize what the recovery team is doing about this dust, or can we?
Yeah, we've had the soil tested, the air quality is being monitored. Because the dust comes from the soil, it's basically been tested. There's nothing wrong with the soil or the dust. There's nothing different or nothing new about it. There's no concern with the air quality in the city of Merritt. There is more dust, potentially there is more dust than usual because of the cleanup that we're doing. Should you be concerned? Not unless you have some pre-existing condition that may limit your lung capacity or breathing, or if you have allergies, if you're an infant or if you're very old, the elderly, perhaps there's some concerns there, but nothing that you wouldn't normally be concerned about. So what can you do? What can we do? There are, if you're driving through some of the areas that are under repair, slow down as a driver. If you're concerned with the dust, stay upwind if possible. If you're working in an area, wear a dust mask. But there's no additional concerns other than what we normally see from a really dusty day. I see Sean has his hand up.
Mr. Smith.
I will add as well that we will get some information out because we've been working with the province here, and we will have some information go out over either tomorrow or in the very near future about that dust. I also want to talk a little bit about what is a fairly obvious elephant in the room. There is quarrying activity happening just outside of Merritt, which is a major contributor to the dust that we're seeing, particularly in the Collettville area. We know that this is not a desirable long-term solution for Merritt. We have heard from them that they are working to ramp activities down at that and activate other sites where they can get that rock to support some of these highway operations. So we're continuing to push for that. We talk with the Ministry of Mines regularly to be able to encourage them to do what they can to keep the dust down on that front. The other thing that I would add is that dust is something that 0 is going to be better than 1 micron per cubic meter of air is going to be better than 2 is going to be better than 30. So even though we are meeting air quality objectives right now, it's dustier. And any amount is not ideal for health. And so again, as Greg said, be cognizant of what anybody that would have concerns in being in a dusty environment should check our air quality for that day, and we can certainly send that information out tomorrow as well, so people know where to go to check any given air quality, check the air quality on any given day, and if it does cross any air quality objectives, we'll put out some notification on that as well. But for right now, we're below objectives, even if it's dustier than we would like it to be.
You know, one of the great things about the position of Chief Administrative Officer, Mr. Smith, is you have your fingers on the pulse of so many things. So that clarity and that background information, quarry activity, who knew, right? So it's those pieces that kind of, all those pieces come together to help solve the puzzle, if you will. So thanks for chiming in on that. I know we're at our hour. However, I think it's important through all of these public information sessions and from before the flooding, through the flooding, and through today, City of Merritt has been supported by Mayor and Council who are supporting bringing on recovery operation teams, bringing in Mr. Solecki to help drive the recovery, all of those important things. And so they've been here on each of these sessions. And there are some questions that I think is probably, it is best for council to respond to. So I'll just ask members of council, I'll just toss you a question and just throw your hand up and we'll maybe get some insight from you. So here's a question. So certainly, when you campaign and you get elected, you've got your platforms and all that kind of thing. So one question is, how does what's happened in our city change your focus? Where are we focused at now? How do we maintain the balance of running a city while we're still trying to recover? So there's a question. I don't know if anybody wants to respond to that. Where are your priorities now, and how has it maybe changed experiencing what we experienced in November? Anyone want to tackle that? Mr. Etchart?
I think right now we're trying to answer and hear the questions that the people have. We want them to know that we care about them and that we're also concerned with what they have to say. We want to share their stories. We want them to know that we're trying every possible department that we have, that we're taking every opportunity to ask any minister or any group that we can find funding for support and assistance in any way. We've also been trying with the Rotary Group and different other groups that did their fundraising, the Hell or High Water thing that was available, to create funds that we can help people answer questions with everything. So we have to continue and carry on with the regular items so that, garbage collection happens and other items in the city continue. But also we do care and we try and have these meetings and share information, be present and available as much as we can, and try and take all the information that you provide us. And thank you very much for all the information that everybody shared with us today, because that also strengthens what we do know and where the dikes are going and what's happening with the bridge and all these things that maybe we weren't really clear on. Really helps with all the presentations from all the various groups that are here. So thank you for that. And thank you for also giving the opportunity for council members to speak, because we do care and we really hope that everybody can get home as soon as possible, because our people are very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Brown, I saw you had your hand up. Did you want to touch that, or did Mr. Etchart cover what you wanted to say?
Councillor Etchart covered most of what I wanted to say, and I just wanted to kind of reiterate that we are the people behind the scenes looking at trying to get our finger on that pulse to maintain both the recovery, but also the everyday life of our citizens.
Wonderful. So that's a great segue, Mayor Brown. And I don't know if somebody on council wants to take a stab at this one. But somebody has said it feels like things may never be normal in our community again. We had COVID, we had forest fires, we've got floods. Like, is this the new normal? And so is there anything that council is doing to help our community come together after COVID, fire season, flood. What is being done to bring that community together? If somebody just wanted to throw up their hand, and we can maybe get your thoughts on what we're doing to bring this community back together again. Mr. Etchart.
One of the things that we had discussed the other day was making sure that we can have things that can create a sense of normalcy. We're very concerned about the well-being of citizens, staff, other people, from having the arena activities to other activities, whether it's trails and biking. We still need to continue on the things that can create good outings for people, whether it's public art, different items. One of the committee of the whole that we had was discussing some grants that were available to certain groups so that they could function. The seniors center had come to the council for some funds so that they could have some assistance to get going, so that they can create items, especially for those who have really been affected and they need their social outings. So we're trying to feel normal after any event, traumatic event in any point in your life. You need to grieve and then and move on. And this has been a tough event and traumatic for a lot of people. And we care and we worry about people, and we want to make sure that people know that we would like them to flourish and improve their home and things like that. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Mayor Brown, do you want to answer that one, or I've got a doozy here for council? I think you just need to unmute yourself, Mayor Brown.
I could pass that one to Councillor Lucker. He was in the queue as well.
Okay, great. I didn't see that. Councillor Lockhart?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Really appreciate that. I think one of the big things that council has been doing here is trying to recognize that there is a tomorrow, and working very hard to try and get the people, our citizens, back to some kind of normalcy by hiring some really good staff that have been able to work and work with the provincial government, the senior levels of government, and looking for that funding for that housing. I know staff has spent a lot of time working on trying to pull that housing together, that piece there. It's really important to get those people, because the longer we have the people out of the community, the more the community hurts, and we're not united again. So working in that aspect is really, really important. I think Councillor Esser talked about some of the grants we're getting and some of the things that we're trying to do. Council is trying to get back to some normalcy as well. I know some citizens have questioned some of the things we're doing, but you know what? They're not mutually exclusive. We've got a great team under Greg that it's doing all the recovery piece and everything, and council has to carry on with some of the normal proceedings of council and of the city. And I think that's really important to let the people know that we are going to have a brighter tomorrow and things are going to turn around and be that way. So I think council has to set the example in that, is that we want to get through this as quick as we can and get all the services in place. And and I think one of the things that, as Linda Brick mentioned, we're going to have that community cleanup day. I heard recently somebody said, you know, individually we can do some great things, but collectively we can do a lot of good works. And something like that community cleanup is going to be just amazing for us to get out, have a good time, clean up our community, some camaraderie, some of the things that we can do, and and start laughing and having a little bit of fun together again. And I think that's really, really important as we go on here. I don't want to underscore the tragedy that's hit our community, but I think that we've got some great people here. We're going to be able to move forward with it.
Thank you, Councillor. That reminds me of a meme I recently saw. It was from the Netflix show Schitt's Creek, and it was a meme of now it's escaping me the name of the actress. Anyway, the meme was, when one of us shine, we all shine.
Shine.
And that really kind of resonates with me about flourish under the sun. When one of us shines, we all shine. I have one last question for council. Whichever one of council dare to put up their hand on this one. We want to know, does council have any idea how this event may impact residents from a taxation perspective? And have you considered tax breaks for flood affected residents? Mary, okay, you're going to take it. Good for you.
Where's Mary?
I am.
You need him.
we can't give any specific resident or area of if they're labeled as an R1 zone, we have to consider it an R1 residential zone, or not just R1, any zone. We have one mill rate for everyone. But having said that, BC Assessment is taking a second look at the inundation zone, and they will be doing a reassessment of many of these properties and will assess them according to what the condition is, which means that their rates will be quite a bit lower than they were the previous year, or should be. Having said that, there will be some reductions and it won't go to all the citizens. So yeah, we are looking at trying to help the citizen who is going to have a difficult ability to pay. We can't give discounts. We have to have that same mill rate for everyone. The other thing I wanted to add was we are looking at events as well, events to bring our community together, and whatever they may be, a volunteer session, a recognition session, something to pull the community together. And if anyone has any ideas out there, they can go and talk to any one of the councillors and give them the idea. They can always bring it to council as a whole. I have my office hours every Wednesday. Anybody can make an appointment with me as well, but any councillor is more than willing to talk to any of the citizens regarding that.
Fantastic.
And I think Councillor Fair also has a comment.
Yeah, I see that. I think we have time for one more. Councillor Fair.
Thank you. I'll be brief. This is regarding taxation, but just in these 4 years on council, just about 4 years, one thing that I can assert confidently is that it's been a real honor to work with the people that work at City Hall, and I can't stress that enough. You know, we are really lucky to have the team we have here and to help guide us through this obviously unplanned situation that we've all had to face. Council, I think, is the conduit from the residents, the people to staff, and you know, your stories, we pass them on, and that goes for higher levels of government as well. So
great, thank you. I think it's important also just to recognize anytime we've booked one of these sessions, we always go overtime, and I think that's just because there's so much conversation, so much information that's being shared. So I'm very grateful for everybody who joined us again this evening. Recording will be available on YouTube, so it's it'll be there for other folks. I do just want to quickly check in with CAO Sean Smith. Any final closing remarks from Mr. Smith, also from Mr. Solecki, the recovery manager, and then we'll call it a night. So, Mr. Smith, any final remarks from you, sir?
Thanks, Ben. One thing that I do want to say is I had intended to give a freshet update as part of this. I hope you are okay with the fact that I would still like to take a few moments and provide that, because I know that's something that our residents are really concerned with right now. We will have a post going out tomorrow that summarizes this information, but I put together a much more nerdy presentation here in the meantime that I will cut down significantly. But I think that seeing the raw data that is current is really important to getting an understanding of what's going on and what we should be expecting as part of a freshet season. So this here is showing our snow weather station map, and we have two snow weather stations that by and large correlate to our two watersheds. So the Brenda Mine watershed, although it is just outside of the boundaries that feeds Douglas Lake, which then flows into Nicola River as part of our Nicola watershed, is the best proxy we have at that elevation for understanding what we're looking at snowpack in the watershed. We also have Shovel Nose Mountain, which is the best proxy that we have for the Coldwater River and what we're expecting there. So want to take a quick run through here. This is Shovel Nose Mountain. So again, we're looking right in here. This blue line is showing where we are for snow water equivalent in millimeters. The gray line is the median, the historical daily median, and the green line is what we experienced last year. So what you'll note is we're almost a full 100 millimeters of snow water equivalent less snow on Shovel Nose Mountain at this point on April 7th, 2022 than we had on April 7th, 2021. So we're really coming in excellent to freshet season with lower snowpacks. In fact, I would say that we're probably looking more on the drought side of the spectrum than flood side of the spectrum. That isn't to say that things can't change with weather events. If we were to see, the type of rain that we had in November, flooding would be on us, but we are coming into this in an excellent position for freshet, certainly compared to last year where there was no flood concerns, and even 2018, which was kind of peak snow, we're looking way better than that. So on the Brenda mine scenario, so again, best proxy we have for the Nicola River. Same thing, blue is where we're at this year, gray is what the median is, and green was last year. And so you can see here we're looking at about 200 millimeters of snow water equivalent, whereas we still had over 300 millimeters at this point last year. So again, we're seeing significantly less snowpack in our region, which I want to show you here from a satellite image perspective, exactly what this looks like. So again, noting the scale up here, where you start seeing these lighter colors, the lighter pinks and even up to white, you're seeing a deeper snowpack. And right now this may look alarming, but you can check out the Douglas Lake area. We don't have a whole lot of snow through the region right now. And even kind of at the top of the connector, or if you come on the Coquihalla side, the top of the Coquihalla, snow depths are not what they had been even in 2021, which you'll see here. So note in this region here on the Coquihalla, look how much white there is compared to where we are right now. So there was considerably more snow in 2021, and 2021 was not a problematic year in any way for freshet on the Coldwater River. Similarly, if you look in this region, there was a little bit more snow in 2021 than we have now, more purple, less of those light colors. And then you compare that to 2028, which was, you guys will remember, was when we had the Nicola flood. This is, 2018, not 2028. This is 2018. Look how much white we have on April 7th, 2018 coming into freshet season. Look what the Douglas Lake region looks like. Look at what it looks like in Pennask. So comparing this to where we are here for this year, the snowpacks are just night and day. We're really coming in a strong position, and that gives us some buffer, even if we get some rain events, that we should be able to weather that. What this looks like from a graph perspective, here's what the Coldwater River did in 2021 during freshet. So again, you can see two freshet spikes here that were up to about 65 cubic meters per second. This is the event that we had in November. And again, I would say this reading is somewhat suspect right now, but it's showing that just over 250. So on the basis of the snow level that we have right now, I would say we would be looking at something fairly similar to what we have here, subject to changes in weather, which of course it's too early to predict from a rainfall perspective. Want to look at the Nicola River at the outlet of Nicola Lake. Last year, again, with where we had similar, or we might even have slightly less snow than what we had there, we peaked for freshet at 22.5 cubic meters out of the dam, the Nicola River at the outlet of Nicola Lake. And to give you a point of reference, in 2018, that number was closer to about 78 cubic meters, so 3 times higher than that. You can see here that starting in February, the ladder was up to start releasing more water out of the lake so that we can, I'm going to move to the next slide here, so that we can reduce the lake levels. So this was 2021, reduced the lake levels as much as possible before freshet. Same curve is happening here. We're reducing the lake levels as much as possible. And when I say we, it's actually the province that's doing it, but we absolutely work in concert with the province to make sure that that our watershed is being managed as responsibly as possible, both for preventing flood and preventing drought. And so want to let residents know that of course, in addition to being in a good position from a snowpack perspective, we are working to still bring in sand as part of a sandbag program, that we're going to have that available. We absolutely want to take the proper precautions. We are leaving the temporary protections in place on the Coldwater River. Again, I don't think that the conditions we're seeing right now would warrant that in an ordinary scenario, but we want to take every last precaution to make sure that this isn't something that residents need to worry about, so long as we don't have some truly historic rains. So all I can give to residents at this point is that we are coming into freshet season as well as we have in any of our recent years. We're looking really strong to be avoiding flood, and I would say that we're probably trending closer to the drought end of the spectrum. So my apologies for the extra time that took, Ben, but I think it is important to provide that update to residents so that it can waylay some of their concerns, and we'll put that in text form here shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. And what I hear from that is take a breath. Just take a breath. And I also feel some reassurance that the man in the chair there is aware and watching. And so thank you very much for that. Mr. Solecki, any from recovery, any final remarks from you? No pressure. No pressure. I think you're still on mute there, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Sure can, yeah.
Okay, my screen has totally frozen. So I was just going to say thanks again to everybody, from the mayor and council to the province, our partners, and the city staff and the ROC team, the community, and Ben, to you and your team as well. These are really appreciated, and you do a really good job. I appreciate it very much. So thanks, everyone.
Mayor Brown, closing remarks?
Basically the same message. Thank you to all volunteers, volunteer organizations, the recovery team, our own city staff, and to council for all that we have contributed to this session and getting here. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mayor Brown. Thank you for everybody who joined us on YouTube Live. The video is available post. And thanks for Rachel Oliver and Nadine for joining us from EMBC. Government of BC, DFA. And for everybody else, I do see a couple folks from EMBC that have joined us to listen in and hear what's happening. Your commitment and your presence is greatly appreciated also. So thanks very much, and we'll get one of these going again at another time. A reminder, home.merritt.ca is a website with all of the information related to flood recovery. You can email the support center, visit the support center, call the support center. They are all there for you. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Council. Thank you, Mr. Smith. And with that, we'll wish everybody a good night.
Night, everyone. Thank you.